That's good. So 160 Street. I learned on Sunday evening that the warrant for fall town meeting, and I believe this is Article 4, involves an article relating to town-owned land and house located at 160 Street. And specifically, Article 4 would, I may simplify the reading a little bit, authorize the town to convey the care, custody, control, and ownership to the Winchester Affordable Housing Trust, the 160 Street property to be restricted for affordable housing purposes. I'll leave it at that. So, Michael, what is the history of 160 Street? Briefly, it goes back at least a number of years, and how has this evolved to this article?
Thanks, John. This does go back quite a while. We had a resident that approached us about a Fletcher Fund request to do repairs to the home on this property that we funded. She qualified for the Fletcher Fund. She told us that she would, consider giving the property to the town in appreciation for that support when she passed.
Thank you.
And she did. She passed away, and the property was devised to us.
Wow.
Which was extremely exciting. What we also found, unfortunately, is that there were hundreds of thousands of dollars in mass health liens against the property, which really offset the value of the property. So what we did is we've been working with Mass Health for, I mean, it's at least 3 years now. And we had requested that they reduce that amount. And they eventually waived those liens so the town could take the property without any deficiency on it. And so that's great news. The only thing that we had to do is restrict the use of the house for affordable housing. So Mass Health supported the public policy initiative that the town proposed. It took a very long time because the estate was going through probate, and so we've been putting some legal fees into this, and really quite a bit of work. So the property itself, gives us an opportunity for maybe a couple units there if we do a duplex. And we've reached out to Habitat for Humanity, who's interested in a project there, or maybe another nonprofit housing developer. So we are hoping the trust could take ownership of it, but also there might be a question of whether or not it needs to be a non-town entity that's taking the property, and so we may have to look, somewhere else for that. But this town meeting article relates to that property and our efforts to secure it for affordable housing and frankly start developing it right away.
Michael, can the house be reused as is?
I would like to say yes, but probably not. So we did have someone come through the property to evaluate how much work would need to be done in order to preserve it as a single family home. Because one of the options that we were considering with it is to turn it into a disability unit as well. So updating it and upgrading the property and making it accessible. What we saw is that the amount that would need to be invested really exceeded, what we could put into it and what we would necessarily get out of it. And when we talked to other nonprofit housing developers, they said the property itself can handle more than one unit. And so we would probably benefit by making it, a couple units at least. Certainly, we can do a local initiative project there, and hopefully partner with somebody to put that forward. And this is the kind of thing that I think the Community Preservation Act, would be able to support with some of that revenue. And so people are always asking for examples, and it's not always a 100-unit 40B project that is contentious. Sometimes really being more nimble and developing disability units or just 2 to 4 units at a time, it helps move the needle for us. So that's why this is before town meeting. It's gone to land court. It has been a lot of legal work. So, but the benefit is that we're going to take it free and clear. So that's great.
I think I distributed Marty Jones's email, but one of the points she made was it wasn't clear whether the trust can both own the property and hold the restriction. Does all that have to be resolved before town meeting?
Probably. I mean, we're working on it. We talked about it last night. I think that we're looking for a vehicle to move the property and to hold it. So town council, I think, felt that the Affordable Housing Trust couldn't hold the restriction and couldn't hold the property simultaneously. So whether I disagree or not, it doesn't really matter at that point. But so it could be that we work with another nonprofit housing corporation or a developer or somebody just to put the entity in there and put the restriction on it. So we will be. I'm hoping we will have a resolution to that by town meeting, but I don't know that it's necessary for that to happen. I think town meeting can vote to give us the authority to do that. And I imagine that they would. Otherwise, it's really just going to be stagnant, and just tread water. And it's been a long time. So it's probably been, I would say, 4 years we started, working on this.
Felicity, you've got your hand up.
It sounds really, really positive, Mike, in addition to Marty's email, since she couldn't be here. One thought, which is less of a question than a thought, is that if the Affordable Housing Trust can't both enforce the restriction and be the owner, isn't that going to come up many times? So it seems like that should be ironed out pretty clearly going forward. And if that's not an issue, it would be nice to have that clear. Maybe some other towns have dealt with that, and therefore we're not inventing the wheel. The other thing very quickly is if it's feasible to create, for example, either 2 townhouses or a 1/1 on that property. I don't know how big the land is, but whether, an ADU that is disability related could be put on the property. So that's not a question. That's just a parking lot thought. Thank you.
Tom Howley just signed in. So Tom, rather than making you guess, we're talking about 160 Street and the town-owned land there, and there's a warrant article for town meeting to transfer this to this land or this property to the Municipal Housing Trust. Are there other questions?
I wondered if is the town able to, they're talking about multiple units. It looks like it's a 10,000-foot lot. Can the town kind of ignore the zoning? And I mean, you can put as many units as you like in 10,000 feet.
Yeah, I think we wanted it to be right size for the lot, certainly. But if we do friendly 40B or LIP there, you know, I think that it's an opportunity for us to, you know, push some of that that zoning a little bit, certainly.
Yeah, so that would then, I mean, any zoning would have to go through the zoning board of appeals.
Right.
And
Yep.
Michael, am I correct? This parcel is owned on, it's located on 4th Street, pretty much where Highland Avenue merges into 4th Street.
Yes. Yep. It's near that intersection.
Yeah, so if you come down Highland, it's almost straight across, or there's a couple of houses over there. It's one of those two houses. I mean, other questions or comments? I hear silence. Yeah, Alan, are you thinking of saying something? Whoops, you're muted. Alan, you're muted.
I muted myself so I would not have to say anything.
I do like this as an example of a more subtle role for the CPA in affordable housing.
Yeah.
You know, you can imagine when people hear affordable housing, what runs through their brains. And this is a counterpoint to that in terms of enablement. If anyone's asked for examples of CPA and affordable housing, this might be a good one.
Yeah, I can't remember. Michael, did you mention this as an example this afternoon?
I didn't. I mean, it's I had mentioned I think the
Cross Street.
Cross Street, yeah, the Cross Street project. I mean, this one is not quite in hand yet, so I wouldn't want to mention it as an example. So,
Has there been a reaction from neighbors about the project?
not this one because nothing has really started. We are just trying to finish taking control of the property from the estate at this point.
Right.
And then once we do that, then we'll work with somebody to build something there. So, but you know, it's a small-ish lot. So if we did a duplex or we did a home with an ADU, you know, it would have to be right sized for that neighborhood. You know, we're not going to build, you know, a 6-story, you know, pencil skyscraper there. So so you know, there may be some opposition, but it's been vacant for so long and been really run down that I think people would. I mean, I guess naively, I wouldn't say that people would welcome a development there, but I think they would welcome a small one or a right-sized one.
Yeah.
And the neighbors, I mean, the neighbors must be aware of what's going on. Have they been involved in this, or have they come in and spoken with the select board,
They have not.
either informally or formally?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And like I said, we really were spending a lot of time working with Mass Health on getting them to waive those liens on the property and then work the property through the estate. And we were in land court on it. It was pretty complicated on the legal side of things, but it's a high value property for us that we can really turn into something right away. And Habitat was interested in the parcel as well. And so, you know, we once we get through town meeting, who hopefully gives us authority to transfer it, then we'll work with somebody on a LIP.
Yeah, I assume, are you free to say that Mass Health was involved with these liens because she had incurred medical costs that she couldn't pay?
Oh, no, I'm not at liberty to say either way. I'm not really sure where they came from, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think that they normally would be involved in taking the property, but that shows my ignorance of healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I think that their interest would have been in, you know, recovering the money if the house was transferred or sold.
Yeah, no, they
so
can. But never mind, we've gone a much better route and it's been a long time coming, but that's some mighty fine negotiation with Mass Health.
well, yeah, and you know, we always have a difficult time when we're working with the state because they are really willing to work with us, but so many people move between different positions so frequently that, you know, you'll be at the goal line with someone and then they'll move to another department and then somebody will say, that's a crazy idea. Why would anybody, you know, waive all of those liens? And then we start back at zero. And if we can get it done, it'll be certainly worthwhile. And I think that you know, the resident that devised the property to the town, I think it honors what she wanted, which is to give back to the community that supported her when she needed it.
So is there a motion to support?
So moved.
I'd second that.
Okay, any other discussion? So,
Mike, the only thing I would say is that, you know, I can imagine the neighbors, depending on how much they know about it, would then have a lot of questions, you know, like what's really going to happen and is this good or not? Or I don't even know if someone at that point might come forward. Maybe it's too late for this, or given the liens, it just wouldn't work. You know, would somebody want to buy the land to, you know? But I think assuring people that there will be, now the effort is after it's been, you know, basically vacant and bordering towards, you know, being derelict, let's say, that, you know, the effort's been to control the property and be able to move forward now, and that neighbors will have an opportunity, a full opportunity to comment and understand what the plan is. You know, so I think that assurance to town meeting as well will be important.
Yeah, and I think what the state is requiring us is to have that affordable housing restriction on the property, and so that would ultimately lead us to you know, 40B, and whether it be a friendly 40B or not, I imagine that it would be, and so then that engagement from the neighborhood would really be through the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that process there. So
Okay.
so yeah, there certainly would be an opportunity for them to weigh in, but it'll be a truncated process
Yeah,
that
right.
40B
Right.
allows.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, Tom,
Okay.
that's where I was coming from with my question, is that should there be, almost as an insurance policy, should there be some outreach to the neighbors prior to town meeting?
I wouldn't be able to say. I mean,
Not that there's much time before town meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
whose article is it, Mike? Is it the select board's?
Yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, I stand by my motion.
So
Good luck at.
should we vote? We'll go around on the screen again. Felicity,
I'm in favor.
okay. Lisa,
Yes.
okay. Tom,
Yes,
Michael,
Yes.
John Cortezes,
Yes,
Alan Rogers. Oops, you're muted again. Yes, Alan is yes. David Miller, you can raise
Yes.
your hand.
Yes.
Steve Campbell,
Yes.
myself, yes. Did I miss anyone? Michelle?
Yes.
Bergstrom? Okay.
Yes.
What about Carrie? I'm confused. Isn't Carrie our new liaison? Doesn't she
John
get to
Connell.
vote?
The planning board does not get two representatives.
Yeah, but E Jing's off, so am I
No,
brain
no,
dead?
John Cortez is the new.
Oh,
representative.
I'm sorry, John. I guess you were missing 1 week and then, okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Thank you.
For not skipping the planning board. Appreciate it.
As opposed to over, yeah, okay, got it. Thanks, and sorry, John.
Okay, no, I